It had been a long day for Robert, and he was finding it harder and harder to stay alert. His muscles, once strong and defined from years of working out, had begun to feel the wear and tear of age. A soft ache lingered in his biceps, and when he bent down to tie his shoes, he noticed his knees creaked in protest. He was just 42, but his body felt much older. The once young vigor that defined him seemed to be slowly slipping away, and despite his attempts to fight it, he knew something had to change. Robert was an active man. He always had been. From playing basketball with his friends to working long hours on construction sites, his body had always been his pride. But now, as the years passed, he began to wonder if his muscles were just disappearing, almost as if he was fighting a battle he couldn't win. It started with small signs. His shirts didn't fit quite as they used to, and he found himself struggling to lift weights that he used to conquer with ease. Sitting in his kitchen one morning, Robert sipped his coffee in silence, staring out the window as thoughts of his youth crept into his mind. He couldn't let this happen. But what could he do? His efforts to change his diet had been inconsistent, and his workout routines were lacking the intensity they once had. He knew he needed to take action, but he just wasn't sure where to begin. His frustration was palpable. He felt like he was losing a part of himself that he would never get back. But then he remembered something his old coach used to say: "The secret to muscle recovery is often hiding in plain sight." This memory sparked something inside him, and he began to wonder if there was something he could be doing differently to combat this slow decline. Robert's curiosity led him down a rabbit hole of research. Late one night, as the clock ticked past midnight, he found himself still hunched over his laptop, reading article after article. What he stumbled upon intrigued him. "Seniors, your muscles are disappearing without this one food." The headline caught his attention like a beacon. Could it really be that simple? The article explained that as people age, the body loses muscle mass due to a combination of factors: less physical activity, hormonal changes, and most surprisingly, a lack of one specific nutrient: protein. It seemed that many people, especially those in their 40s and beyond, weren't consuming enough protein to support muscle maintenance. Robert's eyes widened. Could that be it? Had he been neglecting protein in his diet without realizing it? He read on, learning that protein was essential not just for muscle growth, but also for muscle repair. As his body naturally aged, it required more of this nutrient to rebuild the muscle fibers that were slowly fading. The article recommended focusing on high-quality protein sources like lean meats, fish, eggs, and certain plant-based options. Robert realized that his usual diet, though seemingly healthy, wasn't providing him with enough of this vital nutrient. At first, Robert felt a rush of optimism. This discovery could be the key to reversing the damage that had already been done. He had read enough to know that, although the damage couldn't be undone entirely, the right nutrition could help slow the decline and even build back some of what he had lost. He wasn't too late. He could turn this around. But then the doubts crept in. Was this just another fleeting diet trend, or was it truly the solution he had been searching for? He wasn't ready to fully commit to it yet, but the idea of a fresh start, of regaining his strength, felt like something he could hold on to. The next few days were pivotal. Robert couldn't stop thinking about what he had learned. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became that this was the key to his recovery. He took action. He made a list of foods rich in protein, and for the first time in years, he meticulously planned his meals. No more haphazard eating on the go. He started adding lean chicken, turkey, and fish to his meals, ensuring he had a source of protein in every dish. But he didn't stop there. Robert also began researching protein supplements and found a high-quality whey protein powder. He added it to his morning routine, blending it with fruits and oats to create a powerhouse breakfast shake. For the first time in a while, he felt energized after a workout, and even the aching in his muscles began to subside. His body was responding to the changes. The results weren't immediate, but they were starting to show. After a couple of weeks, Robert noticed something small but significant. His muscles weren't as fatigued after his workouts, his strength was coming back, and he felt less of the dull ache that had once plagued his every move. It was a slow and steady improvement, but it was a start. His friends noticed too. One evening, while at a local bar with a few close buddies, one of them remarked, "Robert, you're looking better, man. What's your secret?" Robert smiled, but he knew it wasn't a secret. He had just committed to making a change, and it was working. It wasn't magic, and it wasn't an overnight fix, but he was finally doing something for his body that felt right. He had found the missing piece. Protein wasn't a cure-all, but it was a solid foundation for rebuilding what he had lost. Months had passed since Robert made the decision to take control of his health, and now, at the age of 43, he stood before the mirror, admiring his reflection. He wasn't back to his 30-year-old self, but he wasn't far off. His muscles had regained their definition, and he felt stronger than he had in years. His workouts were more productive, and the fatigue that used to set in so quickly was now a distant memory. His energy levels were higher, and his confidence had soared. Robert had become a believer in the power of nutrition. It wasn't just about lifting weights or running longer miles. It was about nourishing his body with what it needed to recover and thrive. He wasn't just going through the motions anymore. He was living proof that with the right food, even as you age, you could rebuild and recover. His journey wasn't just about muscle, it was about reclaiming his sense of vitality. At work, his colleagues began to comment on how much more focused and energetic he seemed, and when he ran into his old coach, he could see the pride in the man's eyes. "I knew you had it in you, Robert. Keep going," his coach said, and that was all the confirmation Robert needed. He had rediscovered the key to his health, and he had taken control of his future. Now, as he continued on his fitness journey, he felt more certain than ever that muscle, like life, was something you could continue to grow and rebuild if you were willing to put in the work.